Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast on a beautiful Thursday with the Arizona Cardinals coming calling. 3 games to go in the NFL season. Greg brags with some new hoodies. Greg Braggs was on 17 podcasts yesterday, which means that he doesn't need to talk on this show, and I'm going to do all the talking. So is Bo Brack from PHNX Cardinals joining us to preview this matchup and to talk about Kyler Murray, Justin Fields. I'm kidding, Braggs. You can talk the rest of the show.
I got lucky because I almost wore the hoodie that Mark's wearing, and that would have been a disaster if we were Twinkies.
I thought about Bo, I thought about texting Braggs this morning to tell him what I was going to wear, but
they did that yesterday, Bo, where Adam and Mark decided to wear Packers colors to support the Packers beating the Panthers this Sunday, and I lost my mind, understandably so. So today we're at least back on the right track wearing the right kind of gear.
Times are tough, guys. I mean, if that was an actual thing, Carman and Hoge, is that who was wearing green and yellow? What are we doing, guys?
Look, we're thinking about the future and getting the number 1 pick, and we actually have a legitimate focus in life.
It was honestly more disrespectful than putting ketchup on your hot dog. I mean, we might as well have been doing that on the show yesterday and just spitting in the face of all Chicagoans. So we're going to get back on track with you here today. Because obviously...
Brax, do you think that hood makes me not able to put a cheese on your head? Because I could still do that.
Yeah. Lawrence has got the dang graphics. It was a nightmare yesterday.
Are you cold, or is this just your new look?
It's a new look. It's a new look. Okay. I'm doing the Sean Anderson look. Okay. He inspires me.
All right.
So, Bo.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to commandeer this whole interview. I did enough talking yesterday. It's never enough for me, but that's the point though, right? I mean, we're looking at the draft. We're thinking about the Panthers pick. We'll get into the game, but I just feel like where both of our teams are at, as far as looking at the draft, you guys are at 3 and the Bears are picking at 5. Do you even want to win this game on Sunday as a Cardinal fan?
Look, that's the struggle for this fan base. It's the talking point that we have each and every day on PHNX Cardinals, me and my co-host Johnny Venerable. Like, does it do this organization any good to win the final 3 games in the season? Because they're holding on for dear life. They're right there. But due to their strength of schedule, which is ridiculous, it's like 560. And in the draft world that that doesn't benefit yourself. Like if the Cardinals win and they get that 4th dub, they're going to slide down past the Washington Commanders. And then if they were to win again against a Philly, which is kind of far-fetched, but they're not playing the best football right now, in Seattle to wrap up the season, which depending on where they are in the playoff race, like who are they going to start in the finale? That's always kind of a wild card. If Jonathan Ganon and Kyler Murray, if they win 2 more games, like that drops them considerably in this draft. So this fan base, they are yearning for a player of the caliber of Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. And winning football is a deterrent to getting that kid out of Columbus.
Well, okay, there's a lot of things here. First of all, when Kyler finally gets back on the field, you guys go 2-2. Then the Cardinals have their bye. You come out and you play the Niners, Super Bowl contender. Yeah. San Francisco puts up 45. You lose the football game. But, like, sometimes when a team is completely checked out, they get that bye week, they look at the final 4 games of the season, and they're done. What's your assessment of whether the Cardinals are actually coming into Soldier Field to make a statement that, hey, we're here, we don't care about draft position, we're trying to win a football game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the players, the coaches, everybody in that locker room, like that's the feeling, right? I think that Jonathan Gannon, the culture change here, moving off of Cliff Kingsbury, has kind of got those guys feeling that way. And then the front office obviously has their job to do, and it benefits them to have the best draft choice possible. So, and I think these guys view this as a winnable game. And I say that like with respect. I don't think that, if you look at it on paper, the Bears are favored in this game, but I think the Cardinals, obviously the competitiveness in that locker room, they think that they can go on the road just like they did in Pittsburgh and steal a win and play a new brand of football that's a little bit more smash mouth. And continue to kind of trend, especially on the offensive side of the football, get the defensive side back after a tough day against one of the best offenses in the league against San Francisco. I think they're looking for a couple victories here before the end of this and really don't have much thought as far as who they get in the draft, 3rd overall, 4th overall, 5th overall.
Yeah, that's interesting. When your fan base wants to tank, but the team isn't trying to tank.
We beat teams this year that were tanking early, like when the Raiders came calling and they didn't want to play. That's who we tend to beat. So I'm feeling a close game. Go back to you, Greg. Your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about like your confidence level and your defense being able to slow down a guy like Justin Fields who can really challenge you on the perimeter and get on the edge and really press a defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the worry. The one thing that JG and Nick Rollis, who's a 30-year-old defensive coordinator who followed him from Philadelphia, who's shown some decent signs despite being undermanned on the defensive side of the football, they keep everything in front of them, right? Like there really has been a significant lack of explosives from the opposition on the offensive side of the football. Now, can they march up and down the field? Yeah, that happens far too often. But as far as giving up the big play, and is Justin Fields going to turn back the clock and look like the elite runner that he was last year? I'm sure he's fully capable of doing that. But I think there might be, and Hoge talked about it on our show last night, like maybe people have kind of figured out the blueprint to at least keeping that in check. And I think that Ganon and Rollis are going to be prepared for that. What I think Justin Fields could potentially prove on Sunday is, where he is throwing the football, because there's going to be a ton of opportunities to do that. And also the if they're going to get going in the ground game, could they do it with their stable of backs? This defensive line might be the least talented group in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, let's go, Justin. Let's have the QB conversation here, Bo. And no two situations are the same, but of course, Kyler Murray got the huge extension, and now there was a whole conversation of should the Cardinals or do the Cardinals want to get out of that? If they could, and it wasn't as painful as it would be for at least 1 year, do you think the Cardinals regret making the deal with Kyler Murray?
I mean, look, they brought in a guy that didn't make the decision. Their new GM, Monty Ossenfort, wasn't the guy that negotiated the deal, and I think it would have gone a lot differently if he was, and there wouldn't be the mudslinging that followed soon after that, which was ridiculous. Like Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon have come in here and empowered Kyler Murray, and I think that they realize that he's capable of being a successful quarterback on a consistently successful team. They see the deal in place, and that's market value right now for paying quarterbacks. And I think they like the conflict that he causes with his arm talent and his ability to get out and run. It's very similar to Justin Fields, but just further down the road, right? And I think the only tough conversation they have is if they're sitting 1-1. If they're sitting 1-1, they have a Caleb Williams conversation because the benefit of, okay, you absorb Kyler Murray's dead cap next year, that if you were able to trade him, it's like $46 million. And I think that they were preparing for any scenario this previous offseason. Like they cleared enough cap, they bit the bullet, and they released DeAndre Hopkins a year early so they could absorb $21 million in cap, so they could pretty much pivot any direction this offseason. And as it stands right now, like they've got $70 million in cap space, and that includes Kyler's big number when his extension kicks in, about right around $50 million. And then, you've got, if you do pivot off, you still got, $70+ million to spend. But it really does feel like Kyler Murray's here to stay. And I think that if in a really weak, watered down NFC, that this team, armed with that cap space, with the draft capital, like 12 to 13 picks, 6 within the top 3 rounds, that they can turn this thing around quickly and, not be the best team in the NFC West, but, make some noise in 2024.
So based on everything you just said, if the Bears, huge if, but if they stay with Justin and they want to trade back and they want Marvin Harrison Jr., if you're Ryan Poles, the way Bo Brack would look at it, you better stay ahead of the Cardinals, because if he's there, Arizona's definitely taking him. Is that a fair statement?
No doubt in my mind. I've got it pretty well sourced that this coaching staff likes Marvin Harrison Jr. We're waiting with bated breath that this guy's going to declare. I think it's silly to have these conversations like he's got another year left in him at the college ranks. What's he have to prove there? The Michigan thing, it might be a little bit overblown, but like I think that this wide receiver core has quickly deteriorated. It didn't have much room to do so, but Hollywood Brown in a contract year has disappeared, and it's all left over from the previous regime, undersized guys that our guy Baldy, who joins you guys as well, called him invisible last week. And it's true. They've got 3 guys under contract, and one of them probably, you could say, in rookie Michael Wilson, is somebody to move forward with. So they've got like one reliable wide receiver. So it's a huge position of need too. And you got a talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. that's going to be available. Yeah, there's no way he sneaks past the Cardinals if they're in the prime position to draft him.
But you talked about if they were planning for all scenarios and if they had potentially had the number 1 pick, that maybe they would have eaten that cap with Kyler Murray. Let's play that scenario out. If they had the number 1 pick, I mean, technically you still could have the number 1 pick. Do you think they would draft Caleb Williams, and would you want them to draft Caleb Williams to replace Kyler Murray?
For me, I mean, I don't see, like, I see the allure of Caleb Williams, but he also resembles Kyler Murray coming out. And it's like you just went through the ups and downs, the immaturity with Kyler Murray, who I feel like is on at the end of this thing. And Caleb Williams, as soon as you draft him, the clock starts on him probably becoming a $300 million quarterback. And Kyler Murray's salary, like, it made you gasp like when he signed it a couple off seasons ago. But now it's like 7th, 8th highest paid average salary. And it's just the price of doing business. Like, as far as like arm talent, they're very similar. I think Kyler Murray is more dynamic with as far as running the football. They run for different reasons. I think Caleb Williams obviously makes plays in the pocket and out of the pocket where Kyler Murray can kind of get outside and do it with his legs and is more kind of a threat in the red zone there. But it really would just be kind of reshuffling a little bit. They're very similar, but you know, some people would tell you that Caleb Williams right now is more talented than Kyler Murray. And, you know, you could make the case for it, but I just think that you're down the road. You got somebody more established. If the idea is to get back into some sort of contention next year, just pivoting to any rookie, I think handicaps you a little bit.
That's interesting because I agree that they both came from the same system, same college head coach. I do agree that their style of play is very similar.
Yeah.
So in that regard, you know, you guys, the story how it went to getting Kyler Murray, you had Josh Rosen, who was a bust, and the Cardinals identified that right away, cut bait, had the number 1 pick to then trade, to get rid of Rosen to draft Kyler Murray. And that's kind of where the Bears sit. Not that Justin Fields is anything close to a bust. He's not. But just trying to move off of one quarterback to the next.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious about, do you think that this is a cautionary tale for Bears fans? Because you guys did draft Kyler Murray to replace Josh Rosen to, like, make up for that mistake, but it hasn't resulted in wins. You guys, the last 3 years, haven't been as competitive as maybe you thought you'd be.
They went to the playoffs 3 years ago. I mean, they went to the playoffs in 2021. They were an 11-win team, and the progress was there, right? I mean, Kyler Murray comes in, takes over the worst roster, I think, the 10s, right, to the 20s. 2018 was brutal, especially on the offensive side of the football, like 14 points per game with Josh Rosen. That was the Steve Wilkes year, and they quickly just ripped that page out of the franchise history books. And they pivot to Kyler and Cliff Kingsbury, and, you know, they go from 5 wins to 8 wins to 11 wins. Like, the progress was there. You could see it play out. And then, you know, I think that the coaching staff and its inability to make adjustments and its reliancy on Kyler Murray, because they clearly hitched their wagon to Kyler and him doing like superhuman things instead of just putting him within an infrastructure to be successful. It started to quickly deplete. And the floor caved from under them last season, and they bottomed out to a 4-win team. Everybody got fired, and we see with the regime change and the GM change, like, there's hardly anybody left from that roster. They cleaned house. Like, they didn't view anybody really worthy of moving forward with. But as far as like the pivot, like from Rosen to Murray. I mean, like Rosen was drafted the year before. Like these are some dark memories that you're bringing up here. Like this is a dark like therapy session before going home for family Christmas dinner, which is also going to be dysfunctional. So I think that Josh Rosen it was just clear year one he couldn't play. Where I don't think the same could be said for Justin Fields. He's polarizing, but he's shown at least flashes of like where he can be successful, and you see the talent.
Now, if you're the Bears, if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, Carm could just sit over here. He's fine.
You are a beauty.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Go ahead. Watch the Baldy interview. See how many questions I got in there. So now we're competitive all day over here. So, Bo, looking on the outside in, because we have our opinions, but we're a little too close to it.
Yeah.
Knowing what you saw with how the Cardinals made that switch, do you think that it would be wise for the Bears to make the change to Caleb Williams? And do you think that would have the same effect for the Bears as far as, finding, that development of wins going up?
I think the pivot to Caleb Williams is probably the best move. I think as far as just what he does, what he's shown at the collegiate level, throwing the football, and I think it will translate. I think just arm talent-wise, he's there. Obviously, Justin Fields is a more talented runner of the football, but I think that he is absolutely worth pivoting. And then also, I think the biggest variable, Braggs, is where he is in his contract. Like, how do you move forward? What's the move with Justin Fields? You just pick up his fifth-year option?
Yes.
What's the move this offseason? Because this is the year where guys drafted when he was, like, they work out extensions. The fifth-year option's either picked up or it's declined. What's the move for Fields and the Bears this offseason if they move forward together?
Yeah, no,
it would be a fifth year.
I think you pick up the fifth year, or you whatever, you decline and let him play it out, and you go that route. But I would think it would be picking up the fifth year.
A fifth year option or the Daniel Jones deal.
Right. So they're not doing any of that, is my guess. But we'll see. It's unlike, look, Dan Orlovsky just came out, who's been the biggest Justin Fields guy of all time, and went in and endorsed Caleb yesterday. So okay, we're having that conversation a zillion times over. I just want to know with you, Bo, and we really appreciate the time. You do great work. Love talking to you. Is Jonathan Ganon an honest guy?
Yeah.
Like when
he is an honest guy. It comes off, man, he's just, I think he's enthusiastic, right? And then he also takes his job very seriously, where he tries to just kind of wring the washcloth out of every competitive advantage. But no, I believe that he's an honest guy and tries to be as transparent as possible without giving up any kind of competitive advantage. But it's tough as somebody who reports on the team. Like, I'll get in press conferences, and he's gotten better the last couple of weeks. But I think that he's honest, for the most part, as much as a head coach in the NFL can be.
We're gonna play it once you get off of here, but he spoke on Fields, and he was as complimentary as you can be. He's like, yeah, he can beat you with his arms, one of the strongest arms in the NFL. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you when the play goes right. He can beat you when the play goes wrong. We'll play it back, but that's basically what he said. And I'm sitting there like, is he
concerned parent type thing? Like, what the dangers are staying out after night. Like, you could get robbed, you could get kidnapped or whatever, but most likely you'll just walk down the street back to your home. But like, he is a king of hyperbole, no doubt about it. And he just wants to make sure, like, come Sunday, that his guys aren't going to sleep on Fields, that if you give him the opportunity, just like anybody in this league, he's got the tools to beat you through the air with his legs. But if they take the calls and they do their assignment, they should be fine.
Okay. I mean, I just thought it was really impressive praise by an opposing coach. And
he also said Flus was an elite leader yesterday. I was thinking about you guys when he said that.
I missed that part. And that really implodes everything that I'm about to play. He called him an elite leader.
Well, here's the thing. Flus is one of Jonathan Gannon's main mentors. Like, when Flus was the guy in Indy, the DC, JG was his DB's coach, and he's taught him a whole lot about what he knows about coaching and leadership.
I know they got the history, but that I just, again, you don't have to go that far. Like, I learned a lot from him. Elite. That's an insult to elite, and those of us who are elite. Bo, you're elite, damn it. Yeah, who are you picking on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the Bears get it done on Sunday. I think it's competitive. If the Cardinals pull one out, it's going to look similar to Pittsburgh, like where the defense shows up, they're able to get off the field, and then the offense establishes the run. Cliche stuff, like stuff that even the casuals can say, hey, you got to run the football, you got to play defense. But I think they're capable of doing that, and then Kyler Murray makes a play here and there. But I would be shocked if like the Cardinals came out and lit the world on fire offensively. They're still a work in progress with Kyler Murray coming off the ACL and learning a new offense that he's never run in his entire football career. So I give, especially with the way Sweat and that defense is playing, I think that the Bears get the edge.
Yeah, well, running the football has been tough on the Bears this year for opponents against the Bears this year. But I was anticipating 6 months ago when the schedule came out that this would be a cold game, and it seems like it's going to be a high of 54 and sunny on Sunday. So
they ran the football down the throat the 49ers last week, which is pretty crazy. I mean, they ran for 230. So, James Conner's playing his best ball, and Kyler supplements that a little bit. So, they have been able to go up against some good rush defenses. But
you haven't met the monsters of the Midway, Bo.
Are they taking a DeLorean to Soldier Field, or are they turning back the clock to 85, or what?
The clock's back, brother.
Bo or Greg, Bo doesn't care. He wants the Cardinals to lose.
So I want the Bears to lose. So.
Maybe neither shows up. Bo, great stuff, man. Look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully at the old Super Bowl, which would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it, guys. Can't wait.
Yep. All right, Bo Brack, PHNX Cardinals, kicking us off today as we get ready for the Nobody Wants to Win Bowl, except for those of us who still have hope and have a backbone like myself. 3%.
8% chance.
3% right now, 8% if they win out. Let's go.
The win out part goes without saying. You don't have to add that part.
I don't have to add that?
No, they have to win out.
Okay, I apologize.
8% chance.
Great.
We are winning out.
We're winning out, even though you want to lose. All right, can we play that Jonathan Ganon quote?
Negative. Why don't you do some ads?
Negative. Why don't we do some ads? Okay, let's do some ads.
I took over the interview. Now you want the clips.
Well, no, it's another time where things are thrown in randomly, and it's not.
They weren't thrown in randomly. Yeah. It wasn't thrown in randomly. It was put in the rundown when the rundown was started. Don't play that game. You want to not play it for whatever's going on over there.
Don't play the game. Don't hate the player. Play the game.
Good
all right.
Lord. All right. Oh, my God.
I want to tell you about our guys over at Varsity Coolers. Here, I got to pull it out here so you guys can see. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. We got another one on the table here, but I want to display this one. It's got the cool flap, got double lining, works as both a cooler and a travel bag or a gym bag, or even you can put it in the golf cart and fill up, all these, I think a good 30 beers would fit in here. Or two half gallons of whiskey.
Stuff me in there right now. Let's go.
I could stuff Mark Carman in there, no problem.
It's an amazing bag. If you don't buy this bag,
it's got the map on the back.
But it'd be sweet if you did.
It's got the Chicago map on the back. It's pretty sweet. Got all the team colors, like I said, the Chicago flap. Got a hot dog and a pizza inside the lining. Keep that tradition strong here in Chicago. No ketchup on the hot dog. No green on your shirt. And so it's the perfect bag for game day. Varsity Coolers will have you set for game day and beyond with the best portable cooler and weekender duffel around. So built to show up in style or party, rep around town. And make sure you hit up, get it for your friends. It's Christmas season, Hanukkah, holiday. It's the best gift you can get somebody. 21 different teams represented, so they're the perfect gift for any football fan in your life. Head over to varsitycoolers.us and use the code CHGO at checkout for 10% off your order. Varsity Coolers, the best bag in town.
That's right, baby. Hey, shout out to our friends at Prize Picks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, one of our newest sponsors, partners here. The easiest and most exciting way to play your daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Get in there. Listen, instead of betting, battling thousands of other players out there, Brags, including the pros and the Sharks, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projections, and watch the winnings roll on in. You're gonna love this one. PrizePicks is an incredibly fun way to do your daily gaming, and it's also a very easy process to get it going here. This is what you do. You go to prizepicks.com/CHGO, use the code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. So they're matching up to $100, which is awesome. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO. Use the code CHGO. Daily fantasy sports made easy. I know you're out there. I know you want to make your money. I know you love a nice, solid match of $100 on your first donation. And yes, PrizePicks, get her going. Make your money. I'm rooting for you. All right. Now. Yes,
sir.
Ganon?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Here we go with Jonathan Ganon, the head coach of
Ganon.
the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, 40 years old, defensive coordinator, turned head coach, came over from the Eagles, has that mindset of obviously saying nice things about his opponent, but listen to what he said about Justin Fields in his daily press conference.
Justin Fields is an interesting
Yes, he is.
guy.
Yeah.
What do you make of him and how you defend that guy? Because you don't know who you might be getting.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, here's what I know about him. He can make every throw on the field, and when it's cold and rainy in Chicago like it's going to be, the wind doesn't matter because he's got a huge arm. He's extremely mobile. He's hard to tackle, and his extension of plays is very productive. So when you have to design a plan for that type of skill set at quarterback, it makes it very challenging. So we got to do a good job in the run and pass game. Run game where he's involved, run game where he's not. And then in the pass game is you got to mix your rushing coverage the right way to affect him, because he can beat you when the ball comes out on time, and he can beat you when the ball doesn't come out on time. And there's some guys that can do that, but there's not a ton of them. You know what I mean? And he's one of those guys. And he's hard to tackle. I've been a part of games where he's broken 6 tackles on one play, literally. So he's a productive player. It's a weapon, and he's hard to defend.
So, I mean, anybody want to dispute anything of what he just said there?
No. We all know what Justin Fields is capable of,
Yeah.
and he's acknowledging that.
Right, and I just liked him underlining it. This is who he is. This is who the Bears would potentially be moving on from. I get both sides of this. Believe me, I've sat right down in the middle, and most of you on the Keep Field side hate me, and I haven't stood up here and said it's a no-brainer. You take the guy who is the consensus #1 overall pick because you're hoping to hit on a Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, and you're taking a big swing and you're trying to win a Super Bowl, and that's why you would do that versus taking the risk that Justin eventually is going to get to the level that we'd all love to see him at. But there is a coach sitting there who he's going against this week, underlining the difficulties of game planning for him, which I enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these last 3 games play out. But no, I mean, Justin Fields has shown an ability to not just win games but because of. He is capable of that. It's about the consistency. He can make all the flash plays. He can do things that no quarterback can do in the league, but it's just about making the consistent plays to keep the chains moving.
So, and Luke Getsy spoke today. Hoge's at Halas Hall. He's going to be on with us in about, 7 minutes or something like that. But Fields spoke yesterday, and he was asked by Mike Berman over at NBC5 late in the press conference about how disappointing it is or would be if the Bears don't make the playoffs. You put all this into it and you grind every single day, and to come up short, like how disappointing would that be? And how do you keep your motivation through that? And his answer is why, if they do stick with Justin, that I'm personally on board with it, because this is the dude that I enjoy rooting for. Character to me matters. I mean, listen to how Fields, if you missed this, how he answers the keeping your motivation when things are not going right, perhaps all wrong. This is how he looks at his life in the NFL, which of course is a blessed life, but I still like it.
Of course, if we don't make the playoffs, then it's tough because, of course, that's the goal of everybody in the building. But I mean, at this point, no matter whether we're already eliminated, everybody plays for each other. If I come in the building, I know that my O-linemen are putting in work. Running backs putting in work. I'm playing for them. So I think I've said that to y'all before, but I mean, I don't play for myself. I'm playing for the man beside me, my brother beside me. So it's more than a game, to be honest with you. It's more. So when you get to go out on the battlefield and be able to compete with them and be able to play with them, because one thing I don't do, I don't take the game for granted. I don't know when my last game is going to be. I could get hurt, have a career-ending injury next game, but knock on wood. But it's just like that's the truth of the matter is. So I'm going to play, every play my hardest, every game, the best I can, and go out and play for them. Go out and give my best effort for the guy beside me. So yeah.
I mean, come on.
He's always shown that. I've compared his mentality to Derrick Rose. Like, he's a very even-keeled guy. He doesn't get overhyped. He doesn't get too low. He's a good leader, and I think those things have stood out the most of what he's brought here. And so, yeah, that's why he's got the support of his teammates, DJ Moore coming to his back, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott on the Adam Rank Sick podcast.
Were you on that podcast yesterday?
I was on that podcast.
How'd you do?
I've been on it like 4 or 5 times this year. We did great. Carmi V was there. She says hi.
You didn't see them both wearing their Meatball Island shirts?
Yeah.
I felt bad for Carmi V right in the middle of the hill.
Carmi had to deal with a couple of meatballs yesterday. But, yes, all these different players sticking up for Fields because of the teammate and leader that he is. So that doesn't, that is a big mark on the positive side for what Justin Fields brings.
So, Greg, you're a big heart guy. You're a play for your teammate guy. You're a lift everybody up beside you. You're a when somebody says on Twitter who deserves more followers, you're a guy that will put in there and at the Carm despite your middling feelings about me. But
I'll go at you, Carm. But if somebody else goes at you, I go at them.
Right. You'll take on a Robert Friel out of nowhere when he's going at us.
I'm ready to take on Robert.
I know you are. Robert, hey, buddy, I see you. You keep coming. That's fine. I appreciate the discourse, even when I want to kill some of the discourse. But so the point is this. Let's just say for argument's sake that Caleb is 22% better than Justin. But I'm just giving you the future. He's 22% better. But he's a pain in the ass. He's kind of, he's a little bit of a
22%.
He's 22% better. He's a pain in the ass. He complains. You're not exactly sure what you're gonna get. Mm-hmm. He's more apt to throw his teammates under the bus, but he is 22% better. Would you rather, in your perfect world, roll the dice with Justin in that scenario, or would you want the more talented 22% better player that does not have the same character as and heart that QB1, JF1, Justin Fields has exhibited time and time again?
I mean, if you're just going to keep it to that and not talk about contract, not talk about what you can do with the number 1 pick, and leave that other context out of it, you're just talking about player versus player, then I would keep Justin Fields because I don't want a pain in the ass in the locker room, especially at that position. Why? Because somebody that me and you didn't like very much, who had a ton of talent in this city, probably the most talented quarterback we've ever had in Chicago, was Jay Cutler. And his locker room was divided. Half the locker room liked him. The other half vehemently hated him. I know this for a fact. And that did result in friction to a point where it got completely to a tipping point in the Mark Trestman era because there was no leadership. That's why I fell for Mitch the way I did, because he was such a breath of fresh air of a quarterback that actually cared. Everybody thought this Jay Cutler don't care thing was so cute, and everybody loved it and revered him for that attitude. And I thought it was dog shit. I want my quarterback to care. That's the most important position in all of sports, and he has to lead. The team is going to follow the quarterback's lead. And when you have a quarterback like Jay, who's got a ton of talent but a terrible attitude, it doesn't work. And So that goes for all positions. You're looking at like a guy like George Pickens right now at wide receiver, but it's even more important at the quarterback position. And that's what I was hoping with Justin Fields was he was not only bringing the talent, but the leadership and care and want to be great, because that's what separates the good from the great.
Yeah, I mean, in my utopian world, where I root for teams like the Northwestern Wildcats because they're the ultimate underdog, and I'm not calling Justin the ultimate underdog, but he is sticking with Fields right now. If the Bears choose to do it, a large part of that is because of his character. It's because of who he is. It's because of what he means in that locker room. You are betting on the talent, clearly, but you also would be taking a significant risk of a guy going into year 4 with picking up year 5 with a contract that you're going to have to figure out. All of that. Part of your bet that you'd be making right there would be about the dude that's in the locker room.
But if you don't talk about the contract and you just talk about the team.
Yep.
And this is where I've said a million times, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this over the next 4 months to Robert Friel and 40-inch Ditka and everybody else in the chat. And they're like fighting in the chat. Every show we do, it's like they're not even listening to the show. They just want to come in here to argue with each other. That's great. Have your place to argue with each other. But this is what I've tried to explain to everybody on both ends of the spectrum 1,000 times. I trust Ryan Poles, and whatever he decides to do, I'm going to roll with. And I can see positive scenarios playing out if they draft Caleb Williams. I've made no bones about that. I've felt that way since it seemed like the Bears are going to have the number 1 pick. But if Ryan Poles chooses to keep Justin Fields, for all the people that hate Justin Fields and want nothing to do with him on the Bears next year, there are positive scenarios that can play out for this team where you really stack the deck with a team that's already got a roster building out. And then on top of it, if we want to just keep it to the Fields part of it, when you talk about how much this locker room loves him and how much Justin Fields does care to be great, you roll it over into next year with him, with this great team around him, and they start building some momentum that they were trying to build here at the end of this season.
And they don't blow 3 games that they should have won. Go ahead.
Right, to start the year. Yeah, and they build momentum to start the year next year. You're talking about a buzzsaw of a team, because the team will rally around Justin Fields because he's finally getting his opportunity to shine.
And don't forget what Blue Waves is putting in there, the backup team agent. That's right, baby. And we, of course, know that if they keep Fields, that Tyson's going to be a part of probably at least 4 or 5 wins next year because Justin doesn't play all 17. All right.
$9.99 super chat from Patrick Simmons. Yes. I think only losers blame Justin when his line, OC, and wide receivers consistently fail him. Personally, give me Harbaugh, but I trust Ryan Poles, especially more than the nauseating Bears Twitter. Completely understood there.
All right. Hoge's coming up here, but just first, Braggs, it's getting easier, for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. And that's something that we can all get behind, damn it, for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it, including Adam Hoge, who's coming right up.
That's true. The electric grid is evolving, Mark Carman, to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of vans or shipping trucks, ComHead can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners who have a mansion like Hoge do?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what the mansion Hoge should do. He should go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you just say ComEd.com/clean?
Yes, I did. And you can go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Excellent job. Hey, when you're doing your gambling, do it at Circus Sportsbook. Tight money line splits, low hold model. They try to keep as much money in your pocket. You know it. You love it. That's what you want. -110 split. The Circus Sports menu. Unlike any other sports books, feel free to compare them. Check them out all around as to where the best values are. Circa encourages it. Download the Circus Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. Sign yourself up today. Get involved, live the dream, and be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates, which we love doing with our friends at Circa. If you know somebody who may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com. All right, let's go out to Halas Hall where the coordinators have spoken, and Adam Hoge was there to digest it all. Hoger, you want to start with Luke Getsy here and his explanations of different things, including short yardage and how he thought that Justin played, which I thought he was very complimentary, but also said some slightly odd things at the same time. I don't know how you heard him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just thought some of the interesting explanations of these short yardage plays. So you had the 3rd and 1, Tyler Scott, jet sweep, where they leave the one guy on the line of scrimmage unblocked. And the idea there is to beat that guy to the edge, right? So you leave him unblocked, and Getsy kept pointing out, like, go look at that play. I mean, it's going to be a huge play if, he can get out to the outside, essentially, because Braxton Jones is downfield pancaking the linebacker, the DB, forget which one it was, but and they have the numbers. I get that. But I guess my problem is, like, dude, you need 1 yard. I mean, it's great. You want to hit a home run on every play. I'm with you. That's awesome. But the intricacies, and I got to go back and look at it again, because he said, like, we could have coached something up there a little bit better to make it happen. So I don't know if there's some sight adjustment on the blocking that's supposed to happen, or the timing was off on the handoff, maybe potentially. That's why Tyler Scott was just, not as far to the side at that point. Certainly seemed to me like there were a number of plays where the defense almost like they knew it was coming, like we're jumping the snap and getting off. We talked about that play with Cole the other day where, Myles Garrett just kind of shades inside just a little bit and gives him the leverage, and that becomes an impossible block for Cole Kmet to make. I asked Luke Getsy about that today too, and he's like, yeah, we could. Basically said we talked to Cole about his alignment and his footwork there, which is all stuff we talked to Cole about the other day ourselves. And then the 4th one where Justin Fields, again, he gets to the outside, but he's just barely tripped up. Again, Getsy's talking about, like, we were this close away from a 20-yard gain, which, by the way, the more I thought about that, I wish I had thought about it in the moment, makes me think that he was thinking throw it. Because I don't think Fields is picking up 20 with his legs there. He's just getting the first down. So we were talking the other day about how DJ Moore came open on that. I wonder if that's what he was talking about. I don't know. Some of these explanations are still a little – I get it, but that's, to me, like, sort of the story of the season. Like, you've been this close to how many of these massive plays, but a lot of times they're for no gain or a loss of yardage.
Did he give any clarity in the rollout? I'd mentioned to Nick that was the one thing I was curious about on the 4th and 1 was the depth of Fields' rollout. Did he squeeze it too hard and not get enough arc on his rollout to have a better chance to, get a little more separation there? If he didn't answer it, what is your interpretation of that play?
Yeah, bad job by me. I'll take responsibility for that. I did not ask the offensive coordinator if Justin Fields squeezed it enough. It's not.
Is that not the right kind of terminology? I mean, that's my terminology. I mean, do you think that he could have gotten more depth on his rollout?
Yes, to answer your question, potentially, yeah. If you get a little bit more depth on your guys, the dude just made a great play. I don't know. Like, sometimes it's just football. Like, the other guy made an unbelievable play to make a tackle on Justin Fields that we haven't seen in 3 years of him being the Bears quarterback. Like, you don't get Justin Fields down by tapping his shoe. It's just sometimes the other team just makes a play. The problem on Sunday, it seemed like, okay, yeah, we're this close to this many big plays, but the problem is on all of these plays we're talking about, the other team actually is the team that made the play. So how do you fix all that?
Ho, you walked into WGN Radio 15 years ago to become the greatest intern in WGN Radio history, with all due respect to Jordan Burnfield and some other fine characters out there like Chris Raby. So I've known you for a long time is the point of this. What part of Getsy's press conference irked me the most? How well do you know me? There was one 5 words that he said that really bugged me. Started with a maybe.
Started with a maybe?
Yeah. And he's talking about Fields. I'll just answer my own question. He said maybe we need to explain it a little better to him as far as a play. Or Justin just needs to execute it. Maybe it's more words than I said it was.
Like
and
11.
I'm like, you just maybe explain it a little better. Like he can't quite figure it out, or I guess you're supposedly maybe sort of putting it on yourself. But did your ears perk up at all when he said that maybe explain it a little better? It bugged me. I was bugged.
I mean, I think that would have been my answer to your question, is that whatever it was that irked you, I wouldn't be able to figure it out, because you're a very complicated fella, and it's really hard to know which random words in a press conference are going to trigger you. In this case, I thought he was just trying to take accountability for saying, like, hey, we could do a better job of coaching it up. But yeah, no. So I of all the things that were said in that press conference, I don't think I would have ever. We could have sat here for an hour. I don't think I would have answered that correctly.
So you're saying I heard it wrong, that he was actually putting it on himself.
I think
maybe we can explain it a little better. If I said that to Greg, maybe I need to explain it a little better to you. Like
that's literally something you would say to me.
And I'm not being nice, and I'm not saying that he was being like a total jerk, but I do think there's like this Getsy thing where like he'll take accountability, but he'll also like he was asked today about, are you does it bother you something at the end about where the offense is at? It's like, no, I'm not bothered. It's part of the process. And Cleveland's a really good defense. Like, he doesn't. Yeah, dude, I'm bothered. We need to score more points. The defense is killing. And if I had my offense in a better situation right now, we'd be winning a lot more games. He's not going to go there. No, it's all part of the process, And whatever. I'm not saying it's the worst thing he's ever said, but I think he has a way of just deflecting that kind of it gets under my skin.
All right. Well, anyway, the other play I wanted to talk about was right at the end of the game. I just thought this was interesting. I hadn't even noticed this in the moment, or even honestly watching the film. But Getsy said they thought there were 5. So this is right at the end of the game before the Hail Mary. Tyler Scott busts off that big catch and run right down the sideline. Does a good job of initially staying in bounds instead of going out right away. Gets that extra yardage. And it looks like he went out at the 40-yard line. They spot that ball at the 45. And so the Bears, Getsy said, initially thought that they were 5 yards closer to their field goal marker to kick the field goal there. And then all of a sudden the ball gets spotted and they're actually 10 yards. They need 10 yards. And that drastically can impact your play calling in that moment. So there was a little confusion there. I went back and watched it, and it's hard to see on the film, but it looks like Tyler Scott is either very, very close to stepping out. It's actually more like the 44 and a half. So either way, I think they spotted it a little bit wrong. It's really hard to see if his heel's down. His toe looks like it's inbound still as he's tiptoeing down the sideline. The thing that irks me about this, regardless, like whatever, you got to adjust to wherever they spot the ball. I'm pretty sure it's the official that's way back, like 25 yards back. She's running down the line. I'm pretty sure she's the one that ends up spotting the ball. There's 5 bodies, giant football players, between her and where Tyler Scott's foot may have gone in and out of bounds. I just think this goes back to the conversation we have sometimes about spotting the football and measuring first downs. And I just it's so annoying for a sport that is this advanced, that has this much money riding on it, all these gambling reads we do every single one of our shows and every other football show that's out there. We can't get the spot right or even remotely close. The official marking this is 30 yards away. Like, what the hell are we doing here, Roger Goodell? It's so unbelievably ridiculous. Carm watches tennis all the time. They got this Hawkeye technology. They can see exactly the shadow of the ball if it's in or out. Like, come on. If they wanted to fix this, they could, and they just
Right.
don't. And it's so annoying.
And you've said that. That there's a reason why they don't, because it plays to the drama of it. And I have no doubt there is a chip in the ball. That's how they're able to do some of these next generation stats and things of that nature. So it doesn't. They don't want to fix it.
The slight difference, though, is the tennis ball lands. So there's, as a technological expert, I think that makes it easier than when the ball's just in someone's hand. But you explaining that, you made me think of my cousin Vinny, with how many fingers do I have up here now in the glasses hole scene that somebody might remember. Hoge?
Yeah.
Richard Hightower?
Yeah.
Kicking field goals, not kicking field goals at the end of the half. He had a big explanation on why they didn't kick the 55-yarder.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page here and understand it, and they just weren't in their range. But I appreciate it. Richard Hightower really went into a multi-minute explanation for their process, going back to pregame warm-ups. They kick in both directions. They not only are they watching what Cairo Santos is doing, but there's somebody on the staff assigned to watch the opposing kicker and where their kick line might be, so that they can communicate that to Flus. So defensively, if the other team's in field goal range. He went into all of this. What I found interesting is that he said they have two kick lines, essentially. So they have the regular kick line, which is where they feel very comfortable. There's a high probability if they reach that yardage mark that they will make the kick. And then they have what they call their monster kick line. That's the first time I've ever heard that terminology. I don't know if that's Bears specific for monsters of the midway, or just the idea that this is a monster kick. But their monster line is specifically end of half, end of game situations where, it's kind of a gotta have it moment, and there's no real consequence for, giving up the field goal, the field position if you miss the field goal. And so you add on some yardage there where the probability of making the kick is much lower. In fact, he said the monster kick line, they might think there's only 1 in 10 chance that you make that kick, but it's worth trying there in the moment, because what is your other option is just a Hail Mary, right? So all of this is to say they were actually outside their monster kick line even. So that's essentially them saying we have a 0% chance of making this kick. There's a higher probability that we're going to get the Hail Mary. And that's why they ultimately went with the Hail Mary.
And I still disagree. I would have kicked it. I don't give a shit about they're stupid. I don't.
I love that there's an actual –
Sometimes I wish there actually should be a Greg Braggs on every coaching staff for all the work that gets put into this, all the data. You should every coaching staff should have a guy who's just fuck it, I still don't care.
Right.
We're going to kick it anyway.
I'll make it even worse. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes behind an eerie sight for my monster from the slab began to rise.
What the hell's happening?
It's the
I
monster.
got one more minute. Can I give you guys some more football information?
Well, I was just
the monster match, the monster kick. Yes, tell us about Terrell. You should have them sing the monster kick.
Well, I was just going to say, to your point about you should always have one guy in your coaching staff. Yes, I agree with that. In your management and on your team. You ever seen World War Z, Hoge? They say they said in their government system, in one of the parts of the scene, they said one person in a group of 10, if 9 people agree on it, the one person has to do everything they can to disagree with those people just to challenge the opinion. So there should be somebody that's always looking on the other side of the coin when the consensus is going the other way. And I will be that man.
On the other hand, that's how these referees screw up replays. When 100 people in a bar are all in agreement, and this one guy behind the scenes in New York is like, yeah, I see it this way. That's the one guy. So maybe now that you explained it like that, I think I'm out on that whole idea.
All right, you got 30 seconds. Tell us about John Hoke and Terrell Smith and the Cooper touchdown in whatever time you got.
Yeah, so we all heard Flus say that he thought that ball should have been picked off. So I asked John Hoke, who's the defensive passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach, specifically with the corners, what Terrell Smith could have done there differently. or how he would have coached it up, essentially, was my question, knowing under the context that Joe Flacco made an incredible anticipatory throw there in that spot. So basically the answer was part of this was just formationally. I mean, all boils down to this being a rookie versus a veteran, a couple of veterans in Amari Cooper and Joe Flacco. But formationally, when you line up there, you're thinking that Amari Cooper is the X receiver to that side, to Terrell Smith's side. But he lines up in the slot on the opposite side. So now you don't necessarily have a man that you're guarding right there. So it's got to be all about your depth, both depth and width, to put yourself in the right position for Amari Cooper coming over like he does. He runs this deep over route back to Terrell Smith. So to translate everything that John Hoge said in his answer, it basically comes down to just having a little bit more awareness that as he's working back to you, the ball's coming to you as well. Like Joe Flacco is going to lead his receiver in that situation, not throw it behind him. And so that means the ball is going to come your way. So he essentially just kind of like over pursued it when he could have just probably gotten the depth, kept his eyes on the quarterback, and jumped right there into the passing lane and intercepted the football. That's just something who, Terrell Smith being a rookie is going to have to learn over time. Pretty high level football stuff too, when you think about it. And on the back end, dude, just tackle the guy once he caught it. I mean, that was like the worst part of the play. You still got to get the guy down.
Well, yeah, and Brisker should have tackled him too. And I don't know, the Bears are only getting 3 picks a game here. I'm sure it's the secondary's problem that the Bears are not winning enough football games here. All right.
Help me out here, Hoge, before you go, real quick. Do you think that when the Bears start winning games, this is just an observation I've had this season, do you think that when the Bears start winning games next year, hopefully, that these press conferences will be more geared toward what they're going to do in the upcoming game Sunday and not going back to what happened last Sunday?
I see what you're saying, and yeah, I mean, look, yes, and I'll be quick here because I gotta get out of this room, but when you play better, there's less questions about what happened, and then you ask more questions about what's upcoming. But also, that depends on the week, how big the game is that you're about to play, and there probably would have been more of those questions had this game on Sunday against the Cardinals meant more than it does now. It's kind of an afterthought, right? And so I think that's part of it.
All right, Adam, we'll see you for pregame on Sunday. By the way, last thing, you're having an elite hair day. This is one of your best hair days I've ever seen at Halas Hall. You couldn't look better. I don't know if it's a fresh cut or not, but you look really good. So look at that thing.
A couple days old. I'm a little disappointed in it, but I appreciate it. I'll take it.
Strong hair day. All right, Hoge from Halas with the hair.
I get it. I mean, they only get access to these coordinators,
Who cares about the game? What do you do?
No, I understand that, but it's just like we're like every week we go back to the sun. We've already talked about the game 17 times, from the post game to Monday.
Don't go on so many podcasts.
Slow down there. But I do look forward to the day that we can start looking ahead. And I'm not blaming the reporters. They're doing their job. Like I said, it's access to the only time you get to talk to these coordinators, ask them about their decisions in that game. But it will be nice when we can start to transition about looking ahead and not always looking behind.
Let's transition to where you should go to buy the greatest carpet on the planet.
We should transition to that.
Yeah.
And you already know where that place is.
I do, but I want you to tell us. It's your job.
Because you put my name on this to read it.
I did because
you should have been the one to read it.
Oh, I should have.
Yeah, you should have, but you're not a
okay.
leader. I'm the leader. Empire Today is where you should go to get your carpet all day long. Seriously. You got to go there.
Seriously.
I'm telling you. They want me off. I don't appreciate it. You go to EmpireToday.com/CHGO for $350 off.
Nobody reads the rundown. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I did read the rundown, but I was ready to talk about something else.
Oh, you were.
Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats. But you're not doing it right if you don't have copycats. But Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. So competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. It's like when you go to a restaurant and they got a million things on the menu. That doesn't always mean it's a great restaurant. It just means it's an overabundance of what they have.
Yeah.
That's what Empire's all about. They keep their selection small. Keep it important as to what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles. So their menu is smaller. So they've got a virtual floor designer, a great way to see how your floors look at any
That's what you
space.
want to do. It's awesome. I've used it. It's amazing.
It's super sweet. So they service their own warranties. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details.
EmpireToday.com/CHGO. Another great way to get your flooring right and also to support us here. And we appreciate it. $350 off on select floor plans. It's awesome. All right. As we wrap up here, let's get some super chats in here. We appreciate the support. The Bears Bastard is out with a $9.99 CHGO appreciation super chat. Working out in the middle of the desert today. Have just enough service to tune in to the show. Look forward to you guys every day. Oh, and happy holidays. Let's get a W on Sunday. The Bears Bastard, we appreciate you back, brother.
Thank you.
You are consistent, and it's noted and noticed. British Bear Phil Cundy. $10 euros? Euros, Lawrence?
Those are pound sterling.
Pound sterling. Thank you. I knew that. We say that every day. Someday it'll sink in for me. CHGO Legends. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Back at you, British Bear. Let's forget the QB situation for the moment. We didn't do that today. Which position do you guys think we need to strengthen the most in the draft? Any player you want to be a Bear? Hashtag Team Brags. Since your team brags, I will answer the question. Dynamic wide receiver to pair with DJ is my answer.
Yeah, 100%. Wide receiver. There's some good ones coming out. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know there's plenty of needs. $5 more from British Bear. Who is your Bear of the season? Cole Kmet gets my vote. That's a great vote.
Good vote.
I mean, he's only been here for half the year, but I gotta give it to Montez Sweat. He's changed the whole damn complexion of the team.
Multiplier. Interesting. Another guy that hasn't played the whole year, but Tevin Jenkins. I've really enjoyed.
I love Tevin, but
I love Tevin. He can't stay healthy.
Missed the first 4 games of the year.
Concussion is a little different than back injuries, but when he's on the field, he is a game changer. And
Jalen?
There is no wrong answers, but that answer actually is wrong.
Darnell Wright's been great this season. Really enjoyed his game.
DJ Moore would be another good choice.
Jalen Johnson, maybe
Johnson.
one of the best corners in the league this year.
Cairo Santos would be a better choice than Tevin at this point.
I like Tevin. I'm partial to Tevin Jenkins.
I like him too.
I like pancakes.
You want to say Lucas Patrick next? He's really battled his way back.
You're an idiot.
$9.99 for Patrick Simmons. Every other year, the draft has a generational quarterback that fails to live up to the billing. Without talent around him and a competent coaching staff, the QB doesn't matter. Patrick.
Well, that's why the headline of the show was cautionary tale with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got a lot of talent. He's got all the stats. Bo did point out how that initially they had some, progression as a team, 8 wins to 11 wins, made the playoffs once, but ultimately it hasn't resulted in winning a Super Bowl. They have had maturity issues with Kyler Murray at times, and that's stuff that's going to be a question mark when we get into the offseason evaluation of Caleb Williams. They're very similar quarterbacks. They come from the same college coach system. They have similar styles of play. But at the end of the day, Kyler's been very good, and he was a number 1 pick. So you talk about, like, nobody said Kyler Murray's generational, but he was a highly touted prospect. And you throwing around this generational term like it's this, anybody just says it about anybody. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. Sean Payton was the one to call Caleb Williams generational, and then everyone took that word and ran with it. And if you don't value the way Sean Payton evaluates a quarterback, I don't know what to tell you. He said that. And if you don't respect his opinion, that's fine. But, he's at the very least a very highly touted, intriguing quarterback prospect. So it's not something to just wash away. This dude has been playing big-time football for the last 3 years in college. He's worthy of the number 1 pick.
Look,
he'd have been the number 1 pick
Dan
last
Orlovsky, again, he claimed Caleb Williams is a Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and Josh Allen combined into one. All right? That's a hell of a comment right there. Look, if you pass on Caleb Williams and he turns into a star, a stud, a first overall, of course that guy was taken first overall pick, and you did it to stay with Justin. It is. I wonder how everybody who's in Team Justin's going to feel if that happens. And again, there's nothing to say negative about Justin, the person, the character, the competitor, and sure, the potential is there. But
That's true.
The more I dive into it, the more and the more I look at what they're going to do, I get
it's not a guarantee they have the number 1 pick either. We have to stress about that the next 3 weeks. So, like, a lot of this conversation may end up becoming irrelevant if they don't have the number 1 pick, which would be ironic. I know there's some Bears fans cheering for that.
I am not one of those Bears fans. Okay,
we know.
Oh, we know. We know.
We got
You're
one
not
more.
like me.
We got one more super chat, and then we're gonna get out of here. Carman, Nick Moriano gonna take you home tomorrow, and a certain somebody that's really great at their job is gonna be producing the show on Friday. Just have to find out who that's gonna be. $9.99 super chat from Victor Cruz.
Are you producing tomorrow? Can I make a request?
No, you can't. 0 requests. How long until Roschon Johnson is the lead back? This was something
About
I predicted
2 days.
in the preseason. I thought he was going to take the lead back role like very early. I think I might have overhyped a little bit of what his capabilities are. I think he's a very solid back. So, I think he's very good at pass protection, but is he so far and away better than Deontay Foreman or Khalil Herbert to take all their carries? I mean, he's got 3-down back capability because he can block, but
he doesn't have the lateral cutting maneuvering that you would want in an elite top back, which is why Roschon's never going to essentially be
a solid piece in a running back by committee.
That's correct. We don't have the number 1 guy, and most teams don't, and the running back room is fine. It's the least of our problems. And so we're going to end there because I want to think about.
Before we end, I do want to give one quick shout out to our guy, CHGO Cram, right? Who
my guy.
For a long time was just this incognito, account on our chat. His name then revealed himself to be Eric, good buddy of ours now. We met him at training camp. Met him a few times around the stadium. He's come to our tailgates with his lovely family. His son Ryan is going through reconstructive surgery. He overcame pediatric cancer. So he's got some facial reconstructive surgery that he's going to be going through this morning, and we're rooting for you, Ryan. So we appreciate your support here, and we got your back as well, my friend. So hope you get through that. Some of the pictures his dad was sharing with me, seems like he's got a real positive attitude, and he's going to attack this head on.
You got this, Ryan. You are the man. You are a hero. You are a champion. And, 100% we are with you. Thank you for underlining that. And CHGO Cram, you've been obviously a brilliant man, and you've attached yourself to a brilliant media personality. So everything should turn out your way because you're great.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Love
sir.
you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Hey, yes, I am back tomorrow with Nick, and Braggs will be producing, so it'll be a phenomenal experience for one and all. Yep. Be there at noon. And
I'm going to produce with no pants on.
Great. look forward to that. That'll be wonderful for everybody.
Like Lawrence does every day here in studio.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks to Hoge. Thanks to Bo Brack. And CHGO Cubs coming up here with a special someone. I'm not going to ruin the surprise. It should be a great show.
We all silly like the mayor.